We are looking forward to hear from you about your journeys, about the work you have done, and of course, आपके parents या teachers ने आपको परेशान तो नहीं किया. Thank you so much. Over to you, Bhavya.
Thank you so much. So we'll get started in a minute. पहले मैं एक बार आप लोगों को इंट्रोड्यूस करवा लूँ इन ऑथर्स से जो हमारे राइटर्स एकेडमी मेंटरशिप प्रोग्राम का पार्ट थे. So Scholastic में we have a very specific program for budding writers जो students लिखने में इंटरेस्ट रखते हैं, लिखने का टैलेंट भी है, बट दे आर लुकिंग फॉर एन अपॉर्चुनिटी जहाँ पे वो स्किल होन कर सके एंड अपनी स्टोरीज पब्लिश कर सके. सो हमारा बहुत एक रिगरस सिलेक्शन प्रोसेस है, एलिजिबिलिटी टेस्ट होता है, एंड अगर वो एलिजिबिलिटी टेस्ट क्लियर करते हैं देन दे कैन बी अ पार्ट ऑफ आवर 10-day राइटिंग वर्कशॉप. एंड उस वर्कशॉप में दे वर्क विद वन ऑथर, एक पब्लिश्ड इंडस्ट्री एक्सपर्ट के साथ. दे लर्न हाउ टू स्ट्रक्चर अपना स्टोरी उन 10 दिनों में, एंड बाकी 19 से 18 बच्चों के साथ वो एक किताब बनाते हैं जिसमें सबकी अपनी अपनी स्टोरीज़ होती हैं. एंड वो पूरे जर्नी में वो उस मेंटर के साथ, अपने को ऑथर्स के साथ काफ़ी क्लोजली वर्क करते हैं, एंड काफ़ी इंटेंस 10-day प्रोसेस रहता है, एंड उसका रिजल्ट होता है इनकी बुक्स. सो आज वी विल बी हियरिंग फ्रॉम देम फर्स्ट हैंड वो एक्सपीरियंस कैसा था, वो जर्नी कैसी थी, एंड एक यंग पब्लिश्ड ऑथर बनने में क्या लगता है, लाइक what does it take for you to be a published author. We would be hearing that from them. So can we have a huge round of applause for starters? Great. And I am going to request each one of them to go around introducing themselves so that you get to hear from them who they are, what they've been doing, and what they've been published in. So Daniel, starting with you.
My name is Daniel, and I got published in this, a motley collection of marvelous stories. And like my hobby is actually making comics because I love drawing.
So Daniel को comic making में काफ़ी interest है, and that is something that वो from time to time वो comics बनाते हैं, and I think he has a copy of it with him as well. What about you, Meher? Let's hear.
My name is Meher, and my book was published in the anthology Aurora Pages, and my hobby is to bake.
Go ahead.
Hello everybody. मैं साइशा हूँ. I was published in a book of Gen Z literature, and मुझे गाने सुनने में and learning about historical events बहुत सही लगता है.
Historical events पढ़ना is not a very common interest, so आप definitely niche category में हैं, and I think that makes you very unique for that. So I have a few questions. I think starting with Daniel, I'll say आपने horror story लिखा था, है ना, in your anthology, but उसमें भी एक काफ़ी humor component था. It was witty in an underlying sense, right? And that was really interesting. The conversation between characters and how that came out. So for us reading it, even if it was a horror story, काफ़ी लोगों को horror पढ़ना अच्छा नहीं लगता, they get scared. But with that underlying wit, वो काफ़ी enjoyable रहा. आपके लिए वो story लिखते वक्त सबसे enjoyable part क्या था? Like writing the characters or building the story plot?
So like my favorite part in the story was actually quite different. See, I love making jokes to make people laugh, so I mostly made jokes and put them in my story like an Easter egg or something. Okay. So like I made some Easter eggs like in corners or like slightly, if you focused enough, you could actually find some hidden jokes. Like a ghost who is a villain, but his weapon is literally a chair.
एक कुर्सी के weapon वाला ghost जो villain है. That is really interesting. So that was the most enjoyable part for you. आपको वो character लिखते time सबसे ज़्यादा अच्छा लग रहा था. So that is one genre, horror comedy almost, right? But then on the other end we have Meher, right? आपका was a coming of age story. Yeah, and it was a very moving story. काफ़ी authentic portrayal of like human conditions was there, and that was very interesting to read क्योंकि जिस तरीके से main character का depth portray किया गया, the sense of catharsis, it was very powerful. So reading that, जिस लेवल का इमोशनल मेच्योरिटी उस स्टोरी में दिख रहा था, आई डोंट थिंक एनीबडी जो आउट ऑफ कॉन्टेक्स्ट वो स्टोरी पढ़ रहा हो वुड नॉट बी एबल टू टेल कि इट वाज रिटन बाय सच अ यंग पर्सन लाइक यू, राइट? सो कोई ऐसे स्पेसिफिक ऑथर्स हैं, कोई ऐसे स्पेसिफिक बुक्स हैं जो आपको इंस्पायर कर रहे हैं? बिकॉज वेयर इज़ दैट इमोशनल मेच्योरिटी कमिंग फ्रॉम इन योर बुक्स? इज देयर सम काइंड ऑफ इंस्पिरेशन बिहाइंड दैट?
Specifically, I don't think there is a specific author or book which inspired me to write the story the way I did, but I feel that I think there wasn't any specific author or book which inspired me to write the story the way I did, but I feel that reading diverse genres of books really helped add that emotional depth, because the way emotions are portrayed by each author is very unique to their writing style, and that helped me find my writing style and the way I would like to portray emotions in my characters.
Diverse reading habits. I think writing के लिए बहुत important रहता है to open yourself up to as many authors as possible. Any specific authors you want to name?
My favorite author is Tamsin Winter, because her writing style is really quirky, which was not the approach I took for this short story which was published, but that writing style is something I look up to, and I hope to be able to emulate that in my future stories.
That sounds good, but always be very cautious of keeping another author as a milestone for your writing. Yeah. Saisha, I want to say for you, आपका enthusiasm during the workshop बहुत infectious था. Your energy, the way you were always ready to jump in जब भी आपके peers को कोई भी suggestions चाहिए हो, whenever they are looking for ideas. And Scholastic Writers Academy में feedback बहुत बड़ा part है, because you're opening yourself up to 18 other authors, 19 other authors, and उनके ideas के साथ collaborate करके आप एक story बना रहे हैं. But then feedback is also something जो काफ़ी लोग struggle करते हैं उसके साथ. You know, being able to take feedback or even being able to give good feedback, that is something a lot of people struggle with. So I think even in our audience out here, there might be people who won't be open as much to, you know, taking feedback or would not know how to give it the right way. So what is your approach? What is your mindset when you're looking at it? क्योंकि हो सकता है with your answer यहाँ पे कोई हो जिनको help हो and they might be able to open themselves up to it.
For taking feedback, I'd say the best response is treat it as like criticism, that they don't want to hurt you, बस मदद करना चाहते हैं. Like basically like they don't wish harm, hopefully like basically just trying to help you out. And for accepting feedback, I'd say the best approach, imagine it's like imagine you're in a video game कि कोई game खेल रहे हो, and like हर boss fight के बाद there's always like strengths and weaknesses, so treat it like that.
That's a good response क्योंकि when we are even giving feedback है ना, हम लोग काफ़ी बार कंस्ट्रक्टिवली फीडबैक नहीं दे पाते. व्हेन वी से कि हमें कुछ अच्छा नहीं लगा, वी जस्ट से कि ये बकवास था या ये अच्छा नहीं था, ये पढ़ के मज़ा नहीं आया. बट देन हम ये पिन पॉइंट नहीं कर पाते कि व्हाट एग्जैक्टली अबाउट इट वाज नॉट सिटिंग विद अस, राइट? सो टू बी एबल टू लुक इन टू दैट यू हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड योर सेल्फ बेटर. आपको क्या चीज़ें अच्छी लगती हैं. हो सकता है उस स्टोरी में वो कैरेक्टर के एक्शंस उस पॉइंट तक अलग थे एंड देन इमीडिएटली दे स्विच. कोई रैंडम प्लॉट पॉइंट कहीं बीच से आ गया विच यू कांट कनेक्ट विद द रेस्ट ऑफ द स्टोरी. सो बीइंग एबल टू गिव इट इन अ कंस्ट्रक्टिव वे इज़ ऑल्सो वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. एंड एज शी मेंशन, आपके मदद के लिए है. दे आर नॉट ट्राइंग टू पर्सनली अटैक यू. It's not an insult to your capabilities. You have to be open to hearing what other people have to say. जब आप अपना काम दिखाने के लिए किसी को जाते हो, you should be ready to hear anything, right? Because all of our authors here were a part of इतना feedback intensive sessions. I want to hear from Daniel and Meher as well. What was your approach to taking in feedback?
See, like I didn't take anything too hardly because I didn't want to feel bad. When I feel bad, I feel very bad. So when if someone like said something really rude about the feedback, I just asked them, tell me how could you improve it in the story. So you should basically not take like what can you say, like a lot of take it to the heart. Like don't take it to your heart. Like treat it like like a comment or something. Don't immediately just start changing your story and thinking it's not good.
I really like their answer. Don't take it to your heart. Take it to your brain. Sit with it. Think whether वो feedback incorporate करने लायक है कि नहीं. And अगर आप उस position में होते तो आप कैसे वो story को improve करते? That is a really good response. What about you, Meher?
I feel that feedback is can be viewed through a really interesting lens, because if someone is giving you feedback, that means that they took the time to critically engage with your work, and they spent the time trying to comprehend what you wrote. So that is also a sort of acknowledgement to what you wrote, because it's being recognized by someone else, and they find whatever you have written of that worth to take out time to think about it and tell you what they think about it. So I feel like it's actually a really nice thing, because it's a testament to the work you've done, and it's sort of an acknowledgement of the effort you've put in.
That's a very sweet way, I would say, to look at it, to look at the feedback in a way कि इन्होंने time निकाल के आपका work पढ़ा, to try to comprehend it, समझने की कोशिश करी, and try to pinpoint exactly कहाँ पे reader के लिए it could be more beneficial to connect the dots, right? So that is a really good approach. I think it must have been a blast for you guys to talk to other authors during the workshop as well. Saisha, I have one question for you, coming back to you. Okay, so we have one more author here, Kavya Tandon. She's been able to make it just in time. So Kavya, we'd love to start with an introduction for you before we get back into the session. So can you introduce yourselves to everybody here?
Thank you. Hello, I'm Kavya. I study in the Sri Ram School, Ravli, and I have been published in the anthology Literary Stardust. And my hobby, apart from writing, is watching movies. Thank you.
Okay, so I think that is something यहाँ पे काफ़ी लोग relate कर पाएंगे. I think movie watching is like a huge interest. So yes, Saisha, I wanted to ask you, you take writing very seriously as a craft, and वो आपकी writing से दिखता है. The way that you build characters, the way that you write dialogues, it's very interesting to see what you do with words. And जो हमारे audience में यहाँ पे साइशा के writing से वाकिफ़ नहीं होंगे, they wouldn't know, but just to give you an example, जो reading recommendations authors को मिलती है after the workshop is over, mentor की तरफ से to build their skills more, उसमें साइशा को ऐसे authors का list मिला. You had Sandhya Mary, Yoko Ogawa, R.F. Kwong you got recommended. So ये काफ़ी complex writers हैं. They are not your for beginners. इनके जो works हैं काफ़ी nuanced readers के लिए होते हैं. So that shows the level of skill that you're already working at. So did you get a chance to get around to reading any of these authors, or even if any other authors that you've read, जिनको देख के you've had a change in the way you look at storytelling that have inspired your storytelling after the workshop? कोई भी ऐसे authors? Have you had a chance?
Yes, actually, I've read R.F. Kwang's The Dragon Republic, The Poppy War, and Yellowface, which is a very good book. I recommend it to everybody in the audience. For complex writing styles, I suggest that the reason is because for having complex reading styles, just observe people. Because the key to writing good dialogue is knowing how people act in real life. You can't have a character say something very unnatural that ruins the charm of the story. So my suggestion is try observing people around you and reading maybe complex styles. I also like Holly Jackson personally, A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. One of the best books I've ever read. The way that the plot is constructed, it's also very good. So, yeah.
Those are some really good recommendations. And yes, writing characters' actions that could be completely out of the left field could be very disorienting for the readers as well. So आपके जो characters का portrayal रहा है starting से, associating that with their future actions, that is a really good way to go about it. Kavya, now that you're here, I have a question for you. So your feedback was very sorted, right? Your story got completed in record time. You did not need as much guidance. आपका बहुत minimal guidance का requirement रहा था. And you had a clear idea of the story as well, towards the end at least. So what was the one challenge? ऐसा कोई भी specific challenge during the workshop रहा हो, जो workshop के दौरान ही आपने overcome किया हो? Was there any specific challenge like that?
Of course, I had too many ideas. I was overflowing with so many good plot points, but I just couldn't use them because the indecision led me to so many pathways and I just couldn't decide. But then I just figured out one clear thing that I wanted, making mind maps and drawing so many doodles and sketches of what I wanted my story to look like, and finally it all came together in the end.
I will tell you, that is not what the final draft looked like. It looked so sorted, and when I was there for the last day's session, it seemed to be all in place as if it was set in stone from the beginning. So to know कि इतना chaotic journey रहा and you ended up with such a good final product, the amount of work that goes into it, right? आप लोग 10 days you spend, a lot of times you rework a lot of ideas, you start from scratch, दोबारा एक story आधी लिख के you completely dump it and then you start with another point in the middle of the workshop. वो बहुत stressful भी रहता है because you have very limited time, 2 hours every day just for 2 weeks, and आप लोग sessions के बाहर नहीं लिख सकते, आप लोग सिर्फ विद इन द सेशंस लिख के सबमिट करना होता है. तो बहुत फोकस्ड राइटिंग रहती है, बहुत फोकस्ड व्यू पॉइंट रहता है, एंड यू हैव टू एंगेज विद अदर पीपल्स स्टोरीज ऑल्सो. सो इट कैन बी chaotic, but it's really nice to hear that so much work and sincerity went into what you put out into the final work. Right, so I have one more, since we were on the topic of advice previously regarding feedback. People out in the audience, यहाँ पे ये भी हो सकता है कि कुछ लोग हो who might be toying with the idea of writing. Yeah, उन्होंने कुछ लिखा हो but they might be hesitant to put it out into the world because it is a very daunting, intimidating task, right? किसी को अपना काम दिखाना and being open to possible criticism and even not knowing where you might stand. So any words for people out there like that who might be hesitant with the idea of putting their work out there? And I would like to hear from all of you. Do you want to go first?
Well, it's a platform. It gives you a medium to express your voice. It's your story, it's your words. You control everything in it. I would say that it's worth a try. If it's bad, nobody's judging. If it's good, nobody really, you might get noticed, but at least you tried. You put up a fight for your voice, and I think that counts the most.
That's really beautiful. Daniel, do you want to go next?
Say, ma'am, like, can I come back to this in a while?
Yes, you can. Either of you want to answer it first?
Okay, so for anybody out there who's thinking about writing, please do it. It will be the best thing for you. Criticism, it's okay, you can try your best. People are always there to criticize you. That is basically what the society does. If they're too good, they'll still talk bad about you. If you're too bad, they'll still talk bad. So let people say what they want to say. Don't let that impact you. They talk behind you because they're behind you. They can't do what you can do, so please don't even pay attention to them. And if you're worried about not being good enough, keep on trying. Keep making efforts. Even if it feels hard, even if there are days where you feel like I can't do this, remind yourself that it will all be worth it one day. think if it's okay if you don't even get attention. It's okay if you get attention. Just do it for the feeling that I actually did it. I didn't give up. I didn't stop because somebody told me to. I did it because I want to. And I think that's the best thing you can do for yourself.
I cannot express how much I love that sentiment. Have you considered being a TED talker? I think you should take a look at that in future. But yes, people are talking behind you because they are, well behind you. So that is a really great sentiment to look at it, like, to take it in that approach. Ki just put your work out there. You can always be overthinking about it after you've done it. There's no point in thinking about it before you have, right? Meher, do you want to add on to that?
So I definitely agree with what everybody here has said. And like Kavya said, it's about having your voice and putting it out there. So an advice which I could give was that instead of looking at putting your work out there as something you do for other people, perhaps you can try looking at it from a perspective that you're doing it for yourself. So maybe sometimes that could help you, put things into perspective. Yeah.
Right. Daniel, do you want to come back to answering it?
Yes. So, like, building off Sasha's answers as well, she said a really good thing. If you do good work, they'll still find out something that's bad in the story. If you do bad work, they'll still find something bad. And second of all, even if you wrote a story that's not really good, just think, how many people do you know have actually gotten a published story that's on a platform? You can buy it and everything. It's such a rare gem that someone possesses a talent to write stories. It's really rare. And it's really special. You can ask your classmates or someone you trust, and they'll tell you it's good because they know it's good. They'll not straight up start criticizing you like the people out there.
That's a really nice answer. And this general sentiment that we have पूरे panel में कि लोग क्या कहेंगे वो भी अगर हम ही सोचे तो फिर लोग क्या करेंगे, right? Let them leave the talking to them. You get to the working part of it. You get to the writing part of it, and you get to putting it out there regardless of what they have to say. Because at the end of the day, you know yourself best. And it doesn't have to be very high stakes, right? कोई नहीं कह रहा कि get your first draft published. As Daniel pointed out, start out small. You can show it to your friends. You can show it to your family. You can show it to your dog and talk about, how great it is. So just start out small. Start out in steps that you'll be comfortable in. And start out with people that you know and trust and have the best intentions for you at heart, right? Also, when we come to challenges of writing, because we talk about writing as if it's something that just flows out, which is not the case, right? Writing खुद में एक ऐसा craft है that requires nurturing and patience and discipline every single day. So to get to it, sometimes it can be a bit tiresome. Sometimes you don't want to write. Sometimes writer's block रहता है, which is the bane of writer's existence. जो भी idea दिमाग में आ रहा है, none of it feels good enough, or you just can't get any ideas. So that is something a lot of writers face. So I want to hear from you guys. Have you dealt with writer's block? And if you have, कैसे आपने उसके साथ deal किया? And all of you, any of you can answer.
I think writer's block is a universal experience. It happens to us and we don't want to admit it, but you cannot think of anything, or you're just so overwhelmed that nothing comes to you. Well, I think the key to battling this grave problem is prompts. A very simple Google search that, give me some prompts for writing. It'll just give you an idea, like write a story about somebody who's invisible. And you just write. Or you write about your day at the very least. Just organize it in a poetic manner. Anything, even however small it is, counts. And you just have to battle it. Get through that first 5 minutes. If you don't like it, then leave it. Just show up.
just show up. I think that is a very, very important part of any disciplined activity that you undertake, right? Whether it's personal fitness, whether it's any craft, you have to show up first for you to accomplish anything, right? And yes, being able to get through your ideas, even if it's just putting down your day into a paper, it allows you to think कि आपके साथ उस दिन क्या हुआ. You are retaining information that way. And when you write, you realize a lot of things that are important to you. आपके लिए क्या चीज़ें मायने रखती हैं. हो सकता है कि कुछ छोटा मोटा squabble हुआ हो during the day with a friend, but you write 5 pages about it. And when you go back, you realize कि oh मुझे नहीं पता था उस टाइम मुझे इतना ये चीज़ affect किया, right? So I really like that. Even if you're just journaling, that also counts as writing because it allows you to articulate things about yourself that you would have not thought of otherwise. So that's a really good answer. Meher, you want to go?
For me, engaging with art, any form of art really, it doesn't have to be reading specifically, but just going out, maybe looking at a painting, watching a movie, any form of creative expression helps. Because when you engage with other people's ideas, it forces you to think and that sort of gets your mind working. So for me, personally, that helps me get out of a writer's block.
Taking a break, going somewhere else, maybe traveling, consuming art in a different way. Agar koi comfort movie ho or like any new genre that you want to try, if there are specific art pieces that you're interested in, taking a look at that, just being open to inspiration in general and not forcing yourself, apne pe pressure nahi dalna hai to get something out. Instead, just taking the passive approach, sitting back and letting art come to you. I like that approach, I think. I like that more than anything. Daniel, you want to go?
So basically, to combat art reader, what was that term again? What was that term again? I accidentally forgot it. Oh yeah, writer's block. I actually did 2 things. The first one you should definitely try. The second one you should do it out of interest. See, the first thing I did when I was writing a story, I had no ideas. My brain was as empty as a trash can. So basically, I started writing in a journal. Basically, the idea for my story just came to me in my day. When one of my friends in my school accidentally threw a chair, not threw actually, kicked a chair at my friend. That gave me the idea for my story. And the second one, I think it's actually another hobby of mine, is to make clay. See, if you're making clay, you'll eventually, when you get bored, you'll start making some stories with it. Like the character goes there first, you try to make it move, and then slowly you'll get the idea of the story that you're trying to make.
So inspiration can strike from anywhere. Yeah, no, it's okay. No, it's a very interesting trend you have there. You go next session.
For writer's block, I think there's 2 approaches one can take. Number 1, just write anything, just even write gibberish. Once I was so angry, I just kept on punching my keyboard and that counted as writing. Or the second interest, watch a movie, see the finale, and the finale ends up being so bad, you write a fan fiction just in spite of it. I forgot the name of this movie. It was so bad. The ending was it was dog poop that I was so angry at the ending. I wrote an entirely new story in spite of it, and that cured my writer's block. And that's actually the inspiration behind my story.
Okay. Okay, so we have one more panelist who's made it just in the nick of time right before we end. So just a quick question to you. So Medhavi here is a very special panelist. She's been our 4-time published author. And she was here for last year's panel discussion as well, back when we were still season 1 of In Conversation. And now it's season 5, and we have done as many panel discussions now as you've done workshops, right? So, and there's a reason why, हमारे लिए डिफरेंट सिटीज़ में जाके हमारे डिफरेंट ऑथर्स के साथ इंटरैक्ट करना, उनकी जर्नीज़ के बारे में जानना, दैट नेवर गेट्स टायरसम. And I think that seems to be the case for you as well for workshops, because you keep coming back, and I think you had a very varied journey, right? You did a fantasy story, you had a poetry workshop, another one, and another book is out in the process right now. So just a quick intro of yourself and your name and your journey in general with Writers Academy. What are the different genres you experience, your different writing journeys? I think they'd like to know about it.
So a quick introduction to me. Hello, my name is Medhavi, and as Bhavya has mentioned, I have attended a lot of Scholastic's workshops, and I just wanted to give you people a little insight on why I decided to come back so many times. Like one of the many reasons I have is because Scholastic has such insightful workshops which like truly let students who attend them gain like a full purview of what writing is. You have a mentor and they give you oftentimes one-on-one discussions on how you can better your writing and how you can like truly pursue your talents. So every time I've come back to another workshop, I've realized that through the mentors and through their discussions of my works, I've realized more and more ways to make myself better as an author, and more ways to truly make my work better and like show people a variety of works. So yeah, that's an introduction about me and why I've come back so many times to Scholastic to work as an author.
Thank you so much. And since we're running a bit close on time, I'll just wrap up with 2 more questions. Firstly, I want to quickly go around the entire panel. I want to ask you one question, and you have to be a bit quick on your feet and give me the answer, and it has to be one very specific answer. Okay? So, एक ऐसा emotion, single emotion या single thought that you want the readers to be left with once they are done reading your story or your work. Like one underlying thing, like one emotion, one thought, one specific thing. What is that one thing that you want the reader to be left with at the end of it? So I will keep you guys on your toes and randomly select. Saisha, you want to go first?
Okay, so one thought I want my readers to be left with is, I guess, sort of shock and a sense of longingness. Since it ends on a cliffhanger, so I want them to keep wondering what is the true ending, like open-ended. Just because I like torturing I like torturing my friends who read my short stories as well as my readers.
I can imagine that, because I absolutely hate open endings. So yes, I would be absolutely tortured. That is a good emotion to be left with. Meher, do you want to try?
I'd want people who read whatever I write to be feeling vulnerable once they're done reading what I've written. So yeah, I feel like maybe they should not feel seen as such. That would be a bit of a cliche, but just vulnerability in general.
Leaving the readers a bit vulnerable after they're done reading your work. You know that feeling once you're finished a book and you don't know what to do with your life next? That kind of feeling? Okay, yes. Why do we have such torturous writers out here? Medhavi, let's hear from you.
I want, after they finish reading my stories, I want my readers to feel inquisitive, not only about the nature of my work, but also I want them to sit down with the feeling of everything that they have understood in what I have written and try to apply it to everything that's happening in the world. So I want them to feel inquisitive. I want them to try to question things. I want them to feel like there was a purpose to my work, and I want them to try to think about how it can apply to them in their lives, you know, because I feel like authors have this purpose of writing not only to like express their own emotions, but to create something that is larger than life. So I feel like I've completed my work as an author if I've been able to inspire people to think about something more than like the limited aspects of their life and expand their views to the outside world.
To be left curious and to keep asking more questions.
Of course,
and you know,
yeah.
that is a thing that comes across in your writings a lot, because you would not be able to guess that a child so young has written something like what she has when you read her work, because it makes you contend with the fact that we have students out here who are so aware of what's going on around the world, or like what's going on around them, and to be able to articulate that so well into your stories, that comes across very cleanly. So I really like that answer. Kavya, what about you?
I think I like my readers to feel a sense of satisfaction and closure after my story ends, because I don't want it to be for nothing. I don't like torturing my readers. I don't like being tortured. So I think like that full circle ending is really what I crave, because life isn't always fair, but my writing can be.
That's a really nice thought to be left with. And yes, you know, the world is not a fair place, but we can always try our best to make one. Daniel, I know you said that you have humorous tendencies in your work that come across even in something as specific as horror. So you turn it into horror comedy. So is your answer a bit similar to Kavya's, or is it something else?
It's something else actually. I want the reader to be pleased but a bit angry at the same time, because I know most people, including me, dislike happy endings.
Okay. Okay, yes, I think we have our fair share of writers that are on both ends of the spectrum. So, one final thing that I would like to end with, you know, आपने इनके introductions में starting में ध्यान अगर दिया होगा, you would have noticed कि these authors are not just writers, you know, they have a lot more skills beyond that. ये काफ़ी अलग-अलग चीज़ों में talented है. So, for example, Daniel here is really good at comic making, and we discussed that, you know, it's not that apparent, but comic making requires a lot more skills than, you know, that are there at play. You need to have decent art skills. You need to be good at storytelling. You need to be good at storyboarding, which are very different things. So, something like a comic making, or like, you know, something like that skill, do you have a copy with you right now? Yeah? Can you just quickly show us that, and a bit too quickly because we're running a bit close to the clock. So, yeah.
So basically my comic is like a bit of a zine. It's very short, like only just 2 pages. It's basically, I took some inspiration from other comics because I like comics, like from Dogman. If anyone here reads Dogman, they might know the factory that produces living spray. So basically the main character in my story is actually brought to life by living spray. It's actually a ball that was lying around, and it was sprayed by living spray by some illegal workers.
Okay, that does sound really interesting. So, that's all right. So we'll be wrapping up. I just want to point out that, you know, we have always been, as humans, doing things with our hands, creating art, right? Whether it's writing stories, whether it's, you know, making art pieces, whether it's music, learning how to play an instrument. We've always done things with our hands, and that is really what makes us human. But आजकल all our hands do most of the time is holding a phone. All of our attention, all of our energy gets whittled down into this break. And I don't want to be that grandma that is saying, oh, the phone is the problem at the end of the day. There's nothing else. Of course, there's so much more to do. But a lot of the times you also place the blame on kids कि आजकल की generation है, ये लोग phone में लगे रहते हैं. But as you can see, you just need to talk to them to realize they're doing so much more with their time. They have so much to tell, they have so much to say, and they're doing it. They're putting it out there in as many ways as they can. They just need those avenues to be explored. So next time, you know, I think even listening to them right now articulate their ideas, there's so much that we as adults can take away from that. And I think in all my 30 years, I really like the passion that these guys come with when it comes to writing, instead of, you know, they're still at the age where they don't have to be jaded about it. So can we have a huge round of applause for the amazing answers and the amazing experiences that we've heard today? And I think we will be asking you guys to just stay on stage for a couple of minutes for a quick photo op. And with that, we wrap up Scholastic Writers Academy's third episode of In Conversation with Student Authors. Thank you so much.
थैंक यू सो मच आवर चाइल्ड ऑथर्स फॉर द डे. हम बहुत छोटे बच्चे हैं लेकिन आज बहुत बड़ी बड़ी बातें हमने की. थैंक यू सो मच फॉर जॉइनिंग अस. वी वुड लाइक मनी सर टू प्लीज फेलिसिटेट आवर चाइल्ड ऑथर्स Daniel, Meher, Saisha, Medhavi and Kavya. Can we all clap for them please? They have done such wonderful work. हम बुक फेयर घूम के आए हैं ना, तो हमारी एनर्जी बहुत ज़्यादा है नहीं अभी तालियां बजाने के लिए. There is only one person who is able to understand what I was trying to say. Let us please clap once again for all of them. Thank you so much. May you keep shining, keep writing and getting published in wonderful publishers. And thank you so much for joining us. बहुत मज़ा आया आपसे बात करके, and I hope our audience also is very happy to hear from